Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today and welcome to my podcast studio. Before we start on today's episode, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say I am truly grateful for you being here. It means the world to me and my guest for us to be able to share our conversation with you. If you do like what we're talking about, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And if we do talk about something that you either agree or disagree with, please put it in the comments. We would love to hear your feedback. Also, please don't forget, I do a lot more than just podcasts. So every Tuesday, I'll put out a drum playthrough. I'll also documenting my journey on writing my solo album, which will feature a lot of guests that have been on the podcast. I'm also putting up a lot of tips and tricks of stuff that we do talk about in some of the podcasts, like insights that I get from some of the guests that share their journey in the music industry. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy today's episode. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into it. In today's episode, I'm joined by Michael from Connecticut and Jon from Nashville. Those two guys formed the duo Blair County that started as an online project. They actually met through, all of us met through the Grant Cardones mentoring group, which is a group we all are part of. So we actually start the whole conversation talking about a big event that recently happened, how Michael was in the front row and got on stage and had to talk at this big event in Florida. Michael and Jon formed this online group called Blair County, where they actually have written all the songs remotely, which is something that we do talk about in the episode. We also touch base on like how important music is as in your everyday life, how music is spiritual, how passionate you can be about it, even though you are doing other things on the side. Without further ado, let's get on to it. If you do like the podcast, please hit the subscribe button below. Share this with your friends and anyone else who think you might enjoy this.
Jesse Itzler, he was the first speaker.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he goes, "What's your name?" Michael. He says, "Michael, do you think you're going to die one day?" Right? And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm going to die." And he's talking about the bus, going on the bus and everything. But my wife didn't go because she was scared of COVID, right? So she was like, "When you go, you better wear a mask, be careful." So of course she sees me in the front row, dead center, not wearing a mask. Nobody in the room's wearing a mask. And she's like texting me, "I see you, but you're not wearing a mask." I'm like, fucking busted, man.
Busted. Oh, big time. Oh, like you had nowhere to hide there, man. Like literally every time they did that front crowd shot, man, you were right there.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to speak too. I don't know if you saw that. I got to go on stage.
I saw the photo that you posted, but I haven't got to it yet. But I'm really looking forward to it.
It was later in the day, towards the end of the day. Yeah. The reality is I could promote. I got to speak there, but the reality is they have a bunch of people come up and tell them how great they've done with Grant Cardones. I mean, that's what the speech. I mean. So, but yet, I still could say I spoke at GrowthCon. That's the key.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. What about you, Jon? Are you following Grant as well?
Oh, been following for years. Yep, on the ambassador program, on the accelerator program. Yeah, really dig it.
And have you got some out of it for your business as well?
Oh yeah, just the quantity of outflow. It goes quantity, then quality, then viability. And that's always how it goes. I mean, but I always focus on the quality, always send gazillion emails out every day, Yeah, keep the attention, keep posting.
Yeah, actually, we'll talk about it in the podcast, but that's how we met, That's how we connected. Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Well, it might be a really good way to start and actually start about how you guys connected to begin with, because obviously we're going to talk about the music as well, but it would be good to sort of see how you guys met up the first time.
So yeah, Jon and I didn't really know each other, but we were both in the mentor ambassador program, whatever you want to call it. So with COVID, right, everybody meeting virtually. So I have been a songwriter since my early 20s, right, writing songs, writing songs. Jon's a producer and helps with that as well. And I actually had this song that was stuck in my head for Grant Cardone, right? And it was like, Grant says, "Who's got my money?" And it's really about who can do the business with you, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know Grant, that term could come out wrong, but it's who's got my money, it's who could do business with me. And so I had this tune stuck in my head, who's got my money, and it was a real rockin' song, but I needed help, right? I had the words, I had the music, and I saw Jon did this. So I reached out to Jon for help, and we collaborated on that song. And Jon took that, and really just created it. What would you say, Jon? Like, what's a good word for what you did to that song?
Just fleshed it out.
Yeah.
Gave it the arrangement and the pacing, We even put a rap section in there because we know Grant loves rap, right? But then we're like, no.
Yeah, we originally put rap in there a little bit in the middle, and then we said, let's keep this a rock song. Grant's got enough rap. In fact, there is a rap song, "Who's Got My Money." I had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, I don't know that, I don't listen to rap too much, but the rock, I was like, I got this in my head. So we collaborated on that song, came out phenomenal. It's on iTunes, "Who's Got My Money?" But then I started sharing with Jon another song I wrote because my dad had passed away from COVID last April.
Oh, shit.
And, he passed away actually on Good Friday on April last year. And, it really sucked that he passed away from COVID. I know a lot of people lost relatives, loved ones from COVID and friends. And so I wrote this song for my dad, my memory of my dad. And I said, "Jon, here's a song I wrote to, can you listen to it? What can we do with this?" And, he loved it, as well as some other of the songs I shared with him. And funny thing is that he says to me, "Mike, a lot of your songs are really good country songs, country music, right, Jon?"
You wouldn't have guessed, right?
And I'm sitting here, look, I'm from Queens, New York. I'm a city boy, born and bred, and grew up in the streets of New York. I didn't even start listening to country music maybe till, several years ago. I started getting into several years ago, but never dawned on me I'm actually writing country songs, right? And Jon's like, "Mike, these songs really, really have a lot of potential in the country music area." So it's funny, Jon grew up in upstate New York. Where did you grow up, Jon?
Horseheads.
Where's that near?
It's right in the middle of the state, right above the Pennsylvania border. It's about 5 miles away from New York City, right next to Elmira.
And you're in Tennessee now, too.
Yeah, right now I'm in.
So it's weird, like this city kid, right, and this country kid join together and collaborate on this music. And that's why we kind of created a name of our joint venture here called Blur County. That was actually Jon's idea, right? Blur County, because we have a city, country, blurring them together.
Yeah.
And the music reflects that. It's kind of got a country vibe, but still a rock vibe,
It rides that line between people that like rock or pop and because it's got strong on melody. So kudos to you, Mike, on
thanks.
And your game there. But as far as the arrangement, there's just enough country, but just enough. It's kind of like the Eagles, because fans love them, rock fans love them. It just rides that line, A
lot of catchy lyrics to it, we found we work really, really well together. We're just banging out songs left and right.
So how does the workflow work? Like, are you guys catching up in person? Are you recording everything remotely? And because obviously there's a bit of a trek between Nashville and New York. I suppose that wouldn't stop you in just jumping on a plane, but I guess at the same time, like, COVID is still pretty bad in the States, isn't it?
The world is our virtual room, I guess you would say. Yeah.
So we actually, Jon and I have never met face to face. We've done everything virtually. I have these songs I come up with the lyrics to music. And sometimes they're 60% complete, sometimes 80%, right? Send them to Jon. He goes, I sent him a bunch of stuff and he's like, "Yeah, I hear something in this one. I could do something with this one." And then we agree on which one we're going to work on. He takes it, works on it, sends it back to me. I listen to it. "Hey, I think we should change this, change that a little bit." And then we get the finished product,
That's so cool.
That's how we've been working because of COVID, right? And all this other stuff. But man, I'm looking forward to the day where I can get to Nashville and jam with Jon and face person,
I'm curious sort of to see, like, in regards to the actual workflow. So again, so you mentioned that you would have an idea, you'd send it to Jon, he would pick it apart, record something, send it back to you, and you sort of dissect it as you go there. But who's doing the different parts on it? Like who's recording what on the songs?
Right. So again, I think of this way. I'm probably more of the songwriter. In other words, as far as creating the song coming to life from nothing.
Yep.
I'm the originator of it. Jon definitely adds his creative talent to it, but because of the nature of being far apart, I mean, I'll play the song with a guitar part, right? But he's got all the studio there, so he definitely does, the music. Jon's doing all the music right now. And quite frankly, he's got a much better voice than I have. I can sing, but Jon's got an awesome voice. And, Jon's got other projects too. So basically, Jon, I was like, I want the songs to sound good. So Jon, you sing them, Yeah, so he's playing on them. Not to say I can't. It's just it'd be hard to do, virtually.
At some point, we got to be in the same room,
Yeah.
Both our vocals down on that. Yeah, you sing just fine, Mike.
I got a real scratchy, rough voice when I sing. So certain songs I could sing really, with that scratchy voice, which people would love to have. I know a lot of people say, I wish I had that voice,
But yeah, it was cool. Like Mike sent me a link to the to the "Who's Got My Money" song, and I put it on again. And it's one of those songs again. Like I listened to it, I think 2 or 3 times back to back, and I was like, this song is gonna get stuck in my head now for like a couple of days because it's literally just that line, "Who's got my money?" It's like, and it's so good because and I think that's really powerful about it as well is that the actual chorus is repeated that many times that it just becomes this earworm that really just gets stuck in your head.
So I sent the song to Grant, and actually he's heard it. I actually know he's danced around to it, and I actually know that the 10X people played that song in their morning meeting. I actually have the video of them playing the song in their morning meeting, So, I mean, I wrote it for them, and what the funny thing is, though, like you had said, I wind up listening to the song, and actually I started realizing as much as I wrote the song as a compliment to Grant and his team, I actually wrote it for me because I use it every day to motivate myself to do what I need to do. Like I'll use it to pump me up in the morning because it's like, write my goals, get up early before the sun, write my goals before the day's begun, kiss the wife and kids goodbye, time to build that empire high.
Yeah.
Like, I do it for me, and I'm using it. I'm like, wow, okay, this thing's motivating me. So it's cool. But again, that was the start of it. I mean, some of the songs we've done on the Blair County side of things are just so catchy, in my opinion. I guess I have I guess it's our song, so I have that opinion. But seriously, I think they're real catchy.
You're correctly biased in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is there any other songs, any other music that you'd use to sort of empower you or amplify sort of certain emotions?
I guess it depends on the type of activity you're going to undergo. If you're going to enter more into a thoughtful situation where you need to be more gentle and things like that, you would be in a frame of mind. Maybe you'd put on classical at that point. Yep. But as far as pump you up song, there's nothing better than "Who's Got My Money."
Yeah.
Are you asking in general, like music in general, or our songs? That last question.
So basically, if there's any specific songs that you would use, so if have you got like a go-to song when you say go to the gym, or if you like first, like you mentioned, you use it to get sort of pumped for the day, so you actually have this particular song built into your work day or to your work routine. So
yes, I do. Yeah.
So the question was actually like if there is any other songs or any genre or any specific band or anything that empowers you in certain spots. For example, like some people, you know, like Jon said, would put classical music on if you want to sort of relax or something like that, or you'd put on like a high beat techno song if you're on a treadmill or something, like if you exercise.
Yeah.
So is there any specific songs or bands that you use in your day?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love music. Music is my passion, and like I have a Peloton bike, right? And are you guys familiar with Peloton at all? Anybody do it? Either one of you?
No,
I don't do it.
No. I just like I've got a big cross trainer here right next to me. I'm in my bedroom here.
The great thing about Peloton is because you can pick the classes, and they have rock music, and there's nothing better than like them playing like some really awesome song while you're doing your Peloton. I mean, everything from Meatloaf, you know, Bad Out of Hell, like that song's great to do it too. But I mean, Dave Matthews, a lot of times, like that song Every Day from Dave Matthews pumps me up when I'm doing, I mean, I use music to get me in a mood, and I love, you know, Zach Brown, Dave Matthews, you know, I'm 70s guy too, love the 70s stuff, Led Zepp, all of it, you know, so I use all of it, you know. I don't know about you, Jon, but I use all of it.
AC/DC never fails.
Oh yeah.
I'm Back in Black, and come on.
Aussie classic. Yeah.
I actually was able. My wife and I. My wife's an awesome vocalist, you know, and I live in Connecticut, and so we have some other musical bands we belong to, and actually had the pleasure of being able to do "You Shook Me All Night Long." Live, right? And I got the voice for that song. That song, I can sing it. Oh, and sick. So, I actually wanted to one day form a AC/DC tribute band. I was like, I just want to be an AC/DC tribute band, you know, because tribute bands are all the rage right now.
Yeah. And again, everybody loves AC/DC. Like again, they're such an epic. You know, they're about as big as it gets. You know, if you are playing the good old traditional rock.
Yeah, Jon wants me to stick to the country stuff, so I'm sticking to the country stuff with us.
Do the AC/DC tribute thing. Here's a weird thing. I'm regularly hired to imitate different singers in music history for a guitar instruction website called guitartricks.com. And I can always nail the Bon Scott stuff, but for some reason I can't do the Brian Johnson stuff. It's just way too, it just tears my throat up.
It's a very unique voice too.
Yeah.
You can handle the Brian Johnson stuff, Mike.
There you go. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did that. But yeah, I mean, look, it all creates our creativity too. I mean, it's funny because sometimes you're writing a song and you're like, does this sound like something else I've heard in the past? You know, you got to be careful when you're writing a song because subconsciously, maybe you're writing a song you heard somewhere else. And so I'm always like, Jon, this doesn't sound like something else, right? I mean, this is, you know, original, right?
Oh, it's such a classic conversation to have. Because I've had this conversation I don't know how many times before about, you know, people that are so nervous almost about trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like you have that many notes and that many chords to play around with. Like surely someone else would have done something that sounds a little bit similar before. But as long as but as long as it feels good, and as long as it's you know, that's all that matters. It's so difficult to come up with something. I think that might even be impossible to come up with something that no one has heard before, especially if it has to be something people actually want to listen to.
Yeah. Exactly. It's so funny because, go ahead, Jon. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you would want to have at least some similarity to something because it's something that's completely original, something from outer space, you know?
Yep.
You know, you would need even when you're marketing, it's like, you know, you would want to say, oh, it's kind of like if James Brown and Cat Stevens had a baby. You know, we would not that Blair County sounds like that, but as far as describing things, you know, you would want them to get a picture of it or at least some kind of comparison.
Yeah.
So we have this song called "Let the Whole Thing Go," right? Yeah. And I mean, it's the funniest thing because I'm sending Jon these songs, right? And I said, Jon, I've got this other song. It's really simple and basic though, but here it is. He's like, Michael, I love that song. That's an awesome country song. I could hear that yeah. And so sometimes the simplest song winds up to be the best. I sent Jon another song, One of a Kind, right? It's a love song called One of a Kind, like you're searching for your one of a kind. And it had a really nice thing to it, but it was like a really nice rhythm to it, really nice sound to it. But I'm like, Jon, like this is something I wrote years ago. Like, hey, listen to it. He's like, you know what? I hear something in that song. Let me work on it. And I got to tell you, it's one of our favorite songs we've written. It almost sounds like the Eagles in some ways, which is such a compliment to be able to write a song that has some Eagles in it. You know, it's like, wow, one of my favorite bands, massive. Eagles.
Everybody has their individual opinion, but I mean, the only barometer you can go by is what do most people like. Other than if you're gonna have any kind of agreement on anything, otherwise you just have everybody's individual opinions. But to go for those, that's not a bad place to be.
I remember I think that is, what is that, about 15, 16 years ago or something, they released that Unplugged DVD or something. I remember I was
Hotel California,
I was working in a radio shop back in Denmark. I'm from Denmark originally, and I was working back home, and that came out, and that was just on the TVs, like all the TVs in the shop all the time. So I would have heard that DVD, I don't know, a couple of hundred times, but it was so good. Like the musicianship and the songs and how they were put in that sort of unplugged format, like it all like gives me goosebumps. Like it was so good, so good,
Yeah, and Grant said something on this Growth Con that we were on, because people would ask all the time, who's your favorite speaker? Who's your favorite speaker? And I think Grant had said this, I don't know when he said this, but he was like, I hate when people ask me that question, right? Because it's a culmination of speakers, right? And I think music really, when next time someone asks me, who's my favorite band? It's like, you know what? Who's my favorite singer? It's not out of a favorite. It's a culmination of them that create it. Because one day I could be listening to one who's my favorite or the other. I appreciate music so much. I could never live without it. But also, Jon and I have this gift, and I think you have it too, right? Of just being able to write songs. I don't know how it happens. Like, I love hearing about people's songwriting experience. But my first song I ever wrote, I was upstate New York in college. I went to this college called Oswego. Jon, you know where that is, right?
I know where Oswego is. Yeah,
past Syracuse. And it was on this Lake Ontario. And needless to say, I was a little bit buzzed, right? And, I had my guitar with me, and I went out on that lake and just sat on the rocks. And a song came to me. I was like, what is this, right? And I wrote this song, and I was like, and that started the creativity of songwriting. And it's weird. I can go months without a new song, and then something pops, and I get in my head, and a new song comes out.
Yep.
Jon, I don't know. Jon, tell me about what's the first time you wrote a song? Oh
gosh, it was probably when I was like, a song worth anything. That's my rule. You have to write like maybe 5 crappy songs and finish them, get to a great one. But as far as like music in general, also, I think I first remember learning about music when I was like, I must have been like 4 or something like that, and I was outside, and it was summer. The radio was on. It was an oldie station, and I remember hearing, and I even remember the song. It was Dobie Gray's "Drift Away." And I was kind of matching, because I had heard it before, and I was matching what the singer was doing. And I was like, wow, I can kind of do this. I can sort of accurately mimic that. So, I got into music. I was born into a family where we all sing. So I didn't know that you learned to sing. I thought, well, this is just what we can do. So by the time I was like, I took violin and viola and stuff in school. But by the time I got into like 8th or 9th grade, guitar kind of took over, and I stopped practicing violin and viola.
Oh, that's funny. I played viola too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that movable C clef. Oh my God. Yeah. Forget it. That's challenging. But I think the first song I wrote was called like Every Night, and it wasn't all that good. But I think the first song I wrote that was, you know, that I would still say, hey, yeah, that was the first good song I wrote was called, it was either one called 100 Miles or one called The First Day of My Life, which kind of like this coming of age song, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think the hard part is we can write the songs, and like Jon said, some of them are going to be like phenomenally, you know, popular or really grab someone. Maybe we have a few that, you know, maybe not be as popular or grab people. But the hard part is getting the songs heard. You know, like it's no different than what Grant talks about getting attention in any business.
Yeah.
You know, it's so hard to get attention, so hard to, you know, get people to notice you. And I mean, look, there's a lot of talented people out there. There's no lack of talented people. But, you know, Grant is always like, you don't need to be the best. You just need to be the best known.
Exactly.
And, you know, when Grant,
yep.
Yeah, when Grant said that to me, it made me realize, yeah, I mean, you look, I mean, not all the best musicians make it. There are a lot of musicians and artists out there who maybe aren't the best, but they're the best known, right? And I think that's the key, and that's the challenge. You know, how do you promote? How do you get out there to get noticed some way, somehow? And I think that's been the challenge for most people.
That's actually a really good topic, and something I'd actually love to get your opinions on, because that is pretty much what I am doing at the moment. Like I just started a record label, sort of signing. I've signed up a couple of the local bands here that I've actually had on the podcast last year. But again, like talent that are so good for the same reason, so good that more people needs to hear that. So I've kind of sort of made that my mission to say from here moving forward, I'm gonna try and, I'm not saying I'm gonna crack the code, but I'm gonna really try hard to be, again, the whole promote, like try and go out and like network, try and put some more noise out there. And I think that I've found out that works, that's extremely powerful is doing a podcast. When you reach out to people, and you say, hey, do you play music? Do you want to come and have a chat about it? Everybody's like, hell yeah, because you're so passionate about it. If you ask people, like, and the thing is, anything you're passionate about, you usually like to talk about it. Like that's just
sure.
And if you have music in common, it's so easy to then start to connect dots, and you build that really deep connection with someone. Because when you have, like, and I haven't met any of you guys before, but now we sit here and like we've been talking for nearly half an hour now, and we talk about music, and it feels good.
Yeah, feels great. Yeah, you know,
it's a tricky thing to take artists whose music is phenomenal, but maybe they don't have the mindset. It could be one of two things. They either don't have the mindset that they should produce, which they should have that mindset, or they just don't know who to contact in order to do it, but they do have the mindset and willingness to do it. Because if you sign an artist and you're like, oh, I'm going to handle all the promotion for you, don't worry about a thing, you just create the music, and they don't have the mindset, you're going to have some friction as far as getting them to interviews and getting them to promote, and you're doing all the heavy lifting. Whereas, it's tricky, because you want the artist that has the great music, but you also got to have some sort of inkling that they're going to play the game with you, of promotion.
There's so many opportunities. There's more opportunities now, right, than there were years ago, because you can put your music on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon, and you can do it where before you couldn't even do that. You just had to rely on getting it played on the radio. But there's Jon and I were talking all the time, there's always opportunities to have your music on a TV show or a movie, or have another recording artist really like the song and record the song, which would be an honor, right? But there's all this opportunity. And it's like, you got to be like, hey, look at me, get the attention. So that's a business in and of itself.
It is
a whole other business.
And I think, like, sort of given the current climate of the world with the pandemic and COVID and all that, it forces you to try and think of not having to constantly be relying on gigging. because that's what pretty much all musician wants. They want to go out and play.
Yeah.
And again, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm the same. I love to write songs. I love to create, but I'm a father of, I've got 3 little kids, and I've got, I've done all that, like 20 years ago, we were signed on a major label, toured all over Europe and stuff. I don't want to do that again. I mean, I'm too old, but I like the business side of it. So I would love to try and help bands focus more on the online presence. Because you can sit in Nashville and Connecticut, and I can sit in Perth, Australia. You can sit anywhere in Germany or Europe or something, but I can listen to your music like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time. I can watch you, and the thing is, I might not ever meet you guys in person or see you play live, but I can still enjoy your music. So you just got to make sure that like if you have a fan in Australia, make sure that you keep putting music out to that fan. And that's what people need to realize. They need to understand that if you shift your focus from in person to online and learn how to ace that game and learn how to network. There's so many ways to network. Facebook groups. Again, listen to other podcasts. Reach out to podcasts about music and ask to come on as a guest, or start your own podcast and start inviting people in. That way, you're starting to connect dots, and you got to be rings in the water that'll only start spreading. It can never go the other way. Like you can never unhear a song.
That's, when you throw a rock in a lake, right? It creates a ripple effect.
Exactly.
And that's what you're looking for, the ripple effect. It's actually one of the things that probably has motivated me the most in music was this movie. I'm trying to get the name right, so I may have the name wrong, but it's called Finding Silverman, I believe is the name of the movie. I don't know if you guys ever saw this movie.
I've seen that ages ago. Yeah.
Okay. The guy was an amazing musician in Detroit. And he cut, everybody thought he was going to be the next star. The record labels got behind him, cut a record, and it just flopped. And he just, went back to, doing whatever job he was doing, making minimum wage, living in Detroit, and all of a sudden his music hit South Africa. And it became like the song, like almost their main song that people got a rise out of in South Africa. And he became a superstar in South Africa. He didn't even know it. He's sitting in Detroit. They actually went to find him and was like, dude, you're a hit, man. He's like, what are you talking about?
That's
and
awesome.
Then it shows him, going to South Africa. But to me, that's the most amazing story. That's what you're about. You put this out there, you don't know who's going to hear you or who's going to affect you. I lost my dad, and I wrote this heart-wrenching, it's a sad song, right? But it's a good song. It's a positive song about remembering my dad. I don't know, someone else out there lost their dad from COVID or not COVID, and will hear that song and bring tears to their eyes and move them emotionally. And I'll never know it, right? But that feeling, that knowing that's possible is amazing.
That's what music does, it gives you that avenue where you can let your feelings out. And if you have someone else who resonates with it, it's so powerful, man. It's so good. And it can be sad. It can be any emotion. Music in general, which is against a term I've used previously as well, is, in my opinion, it's the most underrated commodity because it's something everybody needs. Everybody uses music every day. Doesn't matter if it doesn't matter where you are. Like you listen, you have music one way or the other, whether you turn on the radio or you watch something on TV or something. It's something that we all needed.
It's spiritual.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music is the greatest art form, and it's really a shame that it's undervalued these days.
100%.
But what I'll say is that in writing a song or in listening to a song, if you get some kind of unexpected physical reaction or emotional reaction when you're writing a song, even if you only have a part of it and you get that reaction, it's like, okay, we're on to something, because that's where you want to go. Because music is emotions put into sound, and you have a cohesive story that carries the listener all the way through and keeps their attention all the way through, and you're just sort of guiding. It's like entering a whole universe, really, a 3-minute, a 4-minute universe.
Yeah.
And totally, you just totally have them, you know.
Absolutely.
And what's nice about collaboration is it really even helps so much when you collaborate. You know, just like, you know, you can't do it alone, right? You know, you start collaborating with others and you get this sound that you never knew existed.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect example was the song Inner Song. You know, I'm going to sing my inner song. It was kind of like it was really high energy kind of thing. You know, it seems like it needs to have a different kind of emotion. It really turned into this, you know,
beautiful song.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wrote that song. Now I talked about Grant. I'll give a shout out to Tony Robbins, right? I was at a Tony Robbins event years ago in Palm Springs, California. Mm-hmm. And if you know Tony Robbins events, he goes to sometimes 2 a.m. And the event was called Date with Destiny. And I got back to my room at 2 a.m, so pumped up, so wide awake. And that song came to me. And I just sat there and wrote that song throughout the night. And it's like, I'm going to, you know, find my inner song. You know, I've been waiting far too long to find my inner song. You know, this is how it's supposed to be. And it sounded very different if you hear the original. And I played with Jon and it definitely went a different direction, but it really is a powerful song, you know, really powerful about finding your inner song, right? That's what I meant. Like Date with Destiny is like your destiny. And Tony had said something about it. I was like, I wrote down, I don't want to die with this music inside of me. Literally, I was like, I don't want to die with this because I have another business too. You know, I'm a very successful business person, right? I'm in the financial world and I'm a very successful business person. And I'm at Date with Destiny. I'm like, I got this music inside of me. I'm not doing anything with it. And I was like, I don't want to die with this music inside of me. I got to find my inner song. And I actually started, you know, going to recording studio, recording some of the songs and starting to do something with them, you know. But yeah, Jon, like, listened to that song. He's like, I could take this a different direction, but it turned out great.
You know, I love the high energy coming from an event like that thing too. But I think, especially, you know, in the kind of environment we're in now, that might not be as real to people to be in that high energy thing. Maybe that's what people need, but you need to kind of bring them up to that. Right now, they're coming out of COVID, they're coming out of shutdowns. Maybe they've had losses like you've had, Michael. And
yeah.
So they got to bring them up the emotional scale, so to speak. And so, you know, we'll hit them with the pump you up stuff.
Yeah. So Jon, tell them in that inner song, the first part of that song, what does it start with?
Man, what a year.
Yeah. Man, what a year. That says it all, does it? Man, what a year. Right. That's the first line of the song.
Nice. So Jon, when you get the song, do you record all the other instruments? Like, do you also do the drums and keys and everything?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working that way for years. Plus, I've always looked up to people like Prince and Todd Rundgren and, you know, people that, like, you know, could just be the guy and make a whole album by himself. But, what we do is I get the song, you know, the basic structure is there, how the parts are laid out for the most part, you know, and I'll come up with things that would merit it being a co-write, you know, if it merits it. If the whole song is there and the bones are there, then you just, I'll tell you what, if I make any changes, I always lay out, like, usually in the beginning, I would lay out like just an acoustic and vocal version. I think the first couple I sent to you that way.
Yeah.
But then trust was there, and it's like, okay, you know, I can do the whole thing, and if there's any changes that need to be made, it's a relatively simple thing. But there's a good degree of back and forth, like, hey, this part isn't really hitting me, or this part goes too long, or, you know, there's always that back and forth.
Yep. Well, that's again the beauty thing of collaborating, as you mentioned before, Michael. You know, the fact that you can sort of like stretch or pull stuff apart and sort of create this hybrid song that now has both of your musical signature on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the songs are they're never 100% done because I listen to them and I'm like, we should have used this word instead of that.
But it's
at
always
some
gonna
point,
be like that.
Be like, okay, gotta go with.
Yeah, but that's good. Like eventually, you're just gonna finish it and move on to the next one. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Because you can always keep a lot of tweaking something. Oh, can we turn that up a little bit, and can we put that in? And yes,
pretty soon it's democracy, and it's 20 years later.
Yeah. I think that's again a very common musical trait as well. The fact is that it's very hard to finish your own stuff.
Yeah.
So have you guys got any specific ambitions with this stuff? Like, where would you like to take the album? Because I understand, so obviously, like Mark, you mentioned you had your finance business. I'm guessing, Jon, you're doing something as well on the side.
No, music is my main thing. What I do mainly now is I'm a singer-songwriter, but also I have a studio business where I bring other people's songs to life in the studio. Like they would send, and it's not often that I co-write with people like Mike. This turned into a very, very special thing. So we took it on as it had a specific, like it's an entity now.
Right, right.
The goal with Blur County is to get that known, but also to take these songs that we've written and get them regularly covered by famous artists. I subscribe to this thing in town called Row Facts, Music Row Facts, which is a pitch sheet where they list all of the projects that are being recorded for the next couple weeks or months and who to contact. So all the indie projects are like, yeah, here's the email, here's the guy, send us whatever, you don't need permission. Being here in town and knowing a few people, you're like, hey, do you know who's doing the Blake Shelton project, or who's doing the, Lindsey Sterling thing, or, it's really, it gets you thinking with how to get past the gatekeeper. So I did that with, there's a friend of a friend of a friend of the drummer that's playing on my project, my upcoming album, that his girlfriend is friends with his wife. And so I called the wife. I'm like, hey, can you hook me up? Because she's a fan of the music too. And because she was there for the whole recording thing. And so we're getting the song to that company, that management company, and that label. I didn't tell you, I just heard about this, Mike. I'll tell you about it. But the guy's on vacation right now, but he's like, yeah, I will check out the songs. So, you just got to learn how to play the game. Schmoozing is a little more challenging these days, but you can still schmooze.
I'm gonna go Grant Cardone on them and I'm gonna go Grant Cardone on them.
but it's again like you're using your network, and that's the best way in.
Using the what?
Your network. Like you said, you knew someone that knew someone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sure.
I actually had a I don't know if you know her. I had a vocal coach, country singer from Nashville on my podcast last year called Judy Rodman.
I've heard of
she's like super nice lady. Has been in the industry for I think 50 years or something like that, and has she actually wrote a hit that she was supposed to sing that ended up being a #1 Leanne Rimes single. So she said she said she couldn't complain.
That would be an honor. It would be an honor for someone who's already successful in the music industry to say, I like this song and I want to record that song. That would be the greatest compliment, right? Yeah. So we're open to growing it because it's more of a songwriting collaboration, right? So we're open to whatever the future would bring. We're putting it's like an octopus. We're putting a lot of tentacles out there and see what catches, right?
It certainly helps, Jon, that you are, in one of the music capitals of the world, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is my main game too, so it's my pleasure to do it because I love being around music, and like Mike said, to have a song recorded by a famous artist or many, that would be great. Kind of a double-edged thing because here's where the numbers game comes in. You got to have a lot of songs, a lot of, be the octopus, like we just said. Because if one song's recorded by somebody and it doesn't do well, well, then you have that sort of moniker, you know, so you have, oh, here's the next one. He's like, oh, you know, this other guy has this song and that he's going to do that. And that's already underway. So, and maybe that one will start, you know, so.
Yeah, but sometimes these songwriting teams get really, really hot and, you know, they have one hit after another, and that's what we're going to do.
That, you know, George, for his long career, has had over 50 #1 songs.
Wow.
For one. 50. Like, incredible.
Who was
Charlie, that? The late Charlie Pride, who just had a birthday. He had like 29 #1. It's like,
wow.
Country music is a machine around here. I mean, they are a business.
They are.
As fun as they can look, and that's the key. You know, they have the basics down, and they have it down so well that they make it look fun and everything. But it's just really a lot of work. It's like watching Prince live. I mean, it's just a party, right? But he is just such a professional at all the basics that you don't even have the idea that it's a business. It's just complete creation and fun. But he worked really hard, you know.
And you know, yeah.
I make that comparison of different styles of music just to emphasize, you know, having the basics down in business or in music, and you can make it look easy and be really successful.
Yeah, and I believe in the law of attraction. You know, what you focus on and attract, you'll get. I mean, I literally write my goals down every morning. And one of the goals is I want the songs to be heard by millions, you know. To me, I just want to share the songs. I want them to be heard by millions. However that takes place, it takes place. But I write that down every day. You know, I have a vision in my head of an arena and, you know, they're playing a song we wrote and everybody knows the words and singing along. And I've been to concerts like that. And I watch and I go, one day that's going to be my song. Well, in this case, our song that they're all singing along to, you know?
And will that be you guys, or will it be someone else who's playing?
Could be.
I'd love it to be us on stage doing it, but at the same time, being realistic, like you know, look, if someone big wants to have it too, you know, it's like, all right, I'll be there, you know, to enjoy it. But either way, I'm open. Jon, I don't know about you. I know, you know, how you feel.
I'd love it to be me. Yeah, but we'll be electing the award. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction as well. So obviously, like when you focus, like when you invest all your time sort of focusing on something, you effectively visualize it, and again, it makes it a lot easier to sort of become real. But is there any other sort of routines or any other things that you use in order to try and reach that musical goal or your business goal even?
It's just communicate as much as you can to as many people as you can on any subject, really. I mean, when you're talking about quantity, it doesn't always have to be about music. It just has to be a quantity. And on one of Grant's calls yesterday, one of his guys said, I'd rather send out 100 bad emails than one great email. It's just, you got to overwhelm them with numbers so that you're like, you know, it's like my promotion for, you know, producing other artists. And maybe that's how I got Mike's attention. That's how we...
You definitely got my attention that way. I saw you on Facebook in the Grant group. So I'm like, oh, you know, I have songs. You can produce them. I got this Grant song. I want to get it done before GrowthCon. And, you know, that's how it started. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And, you know, if you're always promoting, you're always communicating, you're always that guy that people last saw. It's like, oh, do you know a music producer? Oh, yeah, I see this guy all the time, John Statham. Check him out. You know, you're just always the recent memory in people's minds or in their feeds.
Well, that's again, like that's almost how I found Michael. I think you put up some post in the group and something, and I just clicked on you and I could see your cover photo. You had a guitar. I was like, hey, I mean, cool story, but tell me about the guitar. You know?
Oh, that's right. I posted something. I posted something with a guitar. And you were like, yeah, cool story, but tell me. And it was actually on my other business, right? My
it was.
Business.
Yeah, it had. Like,
yeah, it was something about my insurance business. Yeah. And you were like, cool story, but tell me about the guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I got interested. I'm like, hey, I want to know about that.
Yeah, I want to know about the music.
Yeah, like my individuals, right?
You mean you don't want to buy insurance? You just want to know about the music. All right.
Yeah, because again, that becomes what we have in common. Like again, I don't know anything about insurance. I know you need some insurances, like if your house burns down, you need insurance, and if you die, you want to make sure your wife is looked after and the kids are okay and all that. But music, hey, tell me more.
Yeah. I remember that comment. I was like, yeah, I play guitar. I'm in the band, all that stuff. Yeah. I write songs. You're like, tell me more. And then you said you were in the music business. I'm like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. And again, and it becomes, and it's such an easy thing to have a chat about because again, you're generally passionate about it if you play music.
Exactly.
Most people are, yeah.
You have to reintroduce, you never have to walk into a town like, hey, have you people ever heard of music? It's like something, like, oh, what is that?
Depending on someone asks me what I do, depending on who I'm speaking to, I'm either a songwriter, musician, or I'm in the financial business.
Yeah, but it's but again, as soon as you say that say you're a guitarist or you're a songwriter or something, people are, oh, that's exciting. It's exciting. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's always the exciting, right? But it hasn't made. Financially, it may not be as exciting until you hit it, right?
Yeah,
but it's exciting to talk about it. The financial world's a lot more financially rewarded, but definitely not as exciting, let's say. Yeah, I get it. And that's the thing to me. I always loved music. I always wanted to do music, but to me, I was just like, yeah, I need to make money too. So, that's how I was able to, everybody says, do what you love, do your passion, I commend anybody who can do that, But when I was graduating college, I was like, I also like making money. I do, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to make money and I'm going to let that money fund my passion. And so that's what I've done over the years. Let my passion be my music, to have fun, to do it without worrying about paying the rent, right? Because I have another way to do it. Now, right, wrong, and different, everybody's teach his own. It's just, that's the way I decided to do it. And it allows me my time to spend my money and spend my energy on my music, which is awesome. Look what it led to, Yeah. And again, I am so proud of the work Jon and I have done. I mean, I'm just so proud of the songs we've created, the work we've done right now. And so I just, I'm loving it. It's bringing me a lot of energy in my life.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And just on the subject of music in general, if I were an alien coming to this planet, and before I heard any music, I would just look around and go, God, this place is awful. Like things are shut down and like all these negative emotions. And then once I heard music, I would be like, this is the greatest place I've ever been. It would make that much of a difference. And I think coming from, speaking specifically to, the recent change in us working together, you gotta have, if you have music inside of you, you have to let it out. And that's what's gonna make, a large part of what makes life worth living. Because it is the greatest art form, and it's so spiritual, so fulfilling, and I'm so happy to do this together.
No, I agree 100%. Again, I use music like for hours every day. Again, I've listened. If I don't listen to music, I listen to a podcast. So yeah. I have audio injected for I don't know how many hours per day. In the car, in the gym. When I'm at the studio, it's like just constantly, and it's like I couldn't imagine not having that. Like you try and imagine working out in silence. Like it'd be so different. Yeah.
Even people that don't listen to music, actively listen to music, if they went into stores and there was no music, they would be like, God, what is that?
It'd be eerie, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, this town is
I do a lot of driving, lately, because back and forth sometimes to Florida, and it's a long drive, right? And I'm like, okay, I got a lot of time. I'm going to listen to, this like more a podcast or something, to learn, right? And then I wind up listening to music the whole trip. I don't want to turn off the music, And then I I didn't listen to what I was supposed to for other things, but I listened to that music all the time. You know?
There's actually a lot of there's a lot of pretty cool podcasts about music. Like I listened to one. I don't know if you know this, Jon. URM podcast, Universal Recording Machine. Yeah, so that is it's mostly for like mixing engineers, master engineers, and producers and stuff, where they come on and share their life story and their careers and highlights, of artists that they've worked with. But it's really cool not just to hear the stories about like that side of the music industry, but it's also really cool to just sometimes hear some of those stories that they've had with like working with big artists and how those artists are in the studio when they're recording and creating these big albums and stuff. So that's actually a really good way of expanding your horizon, even if you aren't a mixing engineer, which I mean, I can do basic tracking myself, but I would never ever endeavor to go in and start mixing an album. But it's really, really cool to hear about it, because again, like I said, it broadens your horizon. Yeah. So those podcasts go for like an hour and a half, 2 hours easily. And you can listen to it and you go like, that was so cool. Like, because you hear about how, for instance, like they had the Garth Richardson on, who recorded the first Rage Against the Machine, and he tells the whole story about how they came into the studio and how that album was created. Then there's another one who's worked with Bruce Springsteen, and like there's so many different genres, but hearing the stories and hearing how they created that sound on that album and how the band worked with the producer, and like it's super interesting, and actually it's something where you still have a takeaway as an artist or as a songwriter, where you go like, I like the way that they sort of chopped that song up and made that better, because it's stuff that you would never know until you hear the story about how it was created in the studio. So I can highly recommend that podcast, especially for long drives.
I think you would like Bob Lefsetz. You listen to his podcasts?
No.
He said that he was working as an attorney in Los Angeles, and he got fired. And he's like, I'm just going to put out a newsletter. This is like in the late 80s, and pretty soon, he just was writing about things that he cared about in the music industry. And pretty soon, like label executives and higher ups in the music industry were liking his stuff. So years later, he's doing, email, people get his emails, and he does interviews and does a lot of music summits and things like that. Lefsetz. I think you'd like him up. He's like this very animated guy, but he's a great interviewer.
This digital world's really opened up a lot of how you can do this. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to do Clubhouse, like not how to do it, but like how to promote Blur County, right, on the Clubhouse. And I know there's ways to do it. I've heard some music chats on Clubhouse, like stages, but it seems to be a genre more of a rap rather than country music. But I know I'm looking at that, like how we can promote on Clubhouse, because I think, are you guys both on Clubhouse? Jon, I know you are.
Yeah.
So that's a way too. But again, what's amazing is, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Amazon, right? So that's the thing. People could listen to you. I'm trying to figure out how to get Pandora to start playing us on. So someone's listening to Eagles, boom, Blur County song pops up, right? So I'll figure that out.
Yeah, I think of those ones. Yeah, I think you have to get really cozy with some of the playlist pluggers and stuff. But but in regards to sort of if you're looking at the online thing, have you guys got anything else sort of planned? Like, are you planning on doing any videos or any behind the scenes or creating a YouTube channel, or is that in the cards?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel, Blur County YouTube channel, and we have some videos that are lyrics in them, so.
Yep.
When I can get to Nashville, I'd love to do more stuff, live as far as videos and everything. And we were really focusing in the beginning on putting out content. So we're focused on really getting enough songs out there in our library And so that's been our focus, and it's been a good focus because of COVID. You're limited to what you can do. But definitely, yeah. I mean, I think this is momentum. Little by little by little is a snowball effect, right? So all these we want to do, it's just a matter of getting to do them. And my wife and I we were planning to take a trip to Nashville anyhow, before COVID. So we'll get to Nashville and do some stuff too. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. And I agree, get just a slew of songs out there that people actually start to care about. And then I think the next evolution is they'll want to see, how did these guys get together? How do they record? How do they work together? And more live stuff, of course, plays into the future too.
Yeah, and I think this story is original. City boy, country boy, meshed together to form, music that, is a new sound of country music, so to speak, I mean, that's kind of the PR story, right? Which is the truth, And I try to, Jon in his own is an amazing musician, has some amazing songs too. So like, I try to support Jon. I mean, I want to, I'm more of the creative type, the songwriter, right? But like, Jon is out there a lot more, and I want to do whatever I can to support him and his, solo career too. But this is all good. There's enough to go around, and music is an unlimited source, right? Which is there's enough for everybody,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not a zero-sum game.
No.
I think it's made out to be that way, but I think there's a new age coming, and they're going to need music. So.
Well, that's again like there is. It's so easy to not just to make it, but also to get it out, because you've got all these platforms available now, and you can literally record it as you guys are doing as well. Like you can record strips, send it to someone else. They put the extra stuff on and just spinball it back and forth. You could even send it to a third or fourth guy who could then mix it and master it, and then all of a sudden, you got something that you can literally be created in your bedroom.
People gotta listen to it. That's the key. They got to listen to it, because
For as much work as the recording and the writing is, the actual hard work is getting the attention for it. So
promote.
I always said I could stop writing songs right now for 10 years, and if I just promoted, you'd have amazing success.
Yeah. Totally.
Once you have their ears and eyeballs, you better have the goods and great songs. But I think we have that.
And you better keep it coming, because again, like the attention span is gone otherwise.
Exactly.
You keep it coming, but you never know you just put enough out there. Something, people are going to hear it somehow, some way. So that's what we've been working on really is content, getting songs out there one after the other, and then having a lot of catalog of songs, and then marketing it and doing what we need to do on them.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad it's just us two, because you start to get more people involved. It's very streamlined. You start getting more people involved, then it's just you're adding time, and that's not good either.
Yeah, and you have more people to please and more people to listen to, and compromises and egos sometimes, and all that stuff.
It's drama free. We both don't have big egos, so we're willing to do what's best for the music without our egos getting involved. So it works really well. And that's why I think we've been able to do a lot of songs and do them really well. And again, the lyrics are awesome. I mean, they're very catchy, and they're memorable. It's just gotta get people to listen, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, exactly.
More than just my mom listening to it. Her friends, they love this song. I'm like, buy the damn song on iTunes then.
So what are you currently doing to try and get more people to listening to it? Have you got any sort of marketing plans?
The main thing right now is we're mainly focusing on Facebook and keeping the lyric videos going there, and inviting people to like the Blair County page, because there's like 5 or 6 songs there that have lyric video, more coming. But just on our end, keep the content going, but also keep promoting what we have. So that's been the main avenue.
Social media. Yeah.
Yep. And are you mainly just dropping singles? Are you planning on sort of consolidating it into an EP or an album, or what's your thoughts on that?
At some point, I think releasing an album is probably an inevitability. But I think in this day and age, singles is a better way for people to become more acquainted with you. You know, it's like, here, listen to this whole album by this artist I've never heard of. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, man. You know, it's like, I'm not ready to...
In this day and age, singles is much better way to go because, you know, and then if they hit you up as a single, your other songs show up anyhow. And, you know, I mean, albums are the kind of dying breed, you know. I mean, I love the art form of an album, but they're kind of dying breed, you know. It's you know, especially for a new artist who are just getting known, you know, it's that single that catches on, and then people start to hear one, two other songs you did.
And the span of a relationship a fan has with a band or an artist, where an album makes sense. And it has to be when they have enough familiarity with you and with your style. Like, okay, yeah, I really dig these guys. Oh, they have a whole album? Yeah, I'm in, you know. Yeah, for 3 or 4 others, I love them. So, yeah, let's hear the whole thing.
And I do think live music is going to take off. And I think one of the things people miss the most, besides eating out, is seeing live music. Now, there are some places in the United States that are completely opened up, right? But like, generally speaking, you know, a lot of places that have been shut down, there's this yearning for live music. I mean, it's the thing I miss the most, you know, seeing live music. So I think music's really going to take off as far as live music goes and whatnot. And I think it's just going to create a new whole slew of new music and creativity. I definitely think we're going to see that because of COVID.
Yeah, it's still it's so surreal every time I talk to people overseas. You know, everything has restrictions. Like in Perth, it's one of the only places in the world where there's no COVID, there's no restrictions. Everything is normal here, if you like. So there's live music. There's only all the local bands because no one else can get here. But the local music scene is blooming. Like there's gigs all the time, but it's the same bands playing pretty much.
Mine is these big country bands are going to need opening acts, right?
yeah. Got to get you guys to come to Australia then.
I want to open for Zach Brown Band.
Yeah.
For who?
Zach Brown Band.
I don't know them. I don't know him.
Zach Brown?
Great band.
Oh, they're one of my favorite bands. I want to open for them.
Is that an Australian artist?
No.
We'll have to get...
If you haven't heard Zach Brown Band, after this podcast, go listen to them.
I'm writing it down. I want to hear about that, Bob, whatever it was before, the guy you're talking about.
The podcast you mentioned, AUM?
URM. Unstoppable Recording Machine.
Okay, got it.
So that's also like the guy who hosts the show, he's got an online mixing school where you can go in and you can sign up, and then every month it's a monthly subscription. Every month they will send you the raw stems from an already released song, and then you have a whole month to practice how to mix the song and make that song sound like the original. And then at the end of the month, whoever mixed the song originally is going to come on a live stream and mix it again and actually talk to people while he's mixing and explains to people how he's doing it. So if you are into mixing and stuff, that would be, probably as valuable a lesson as you could possibly get, because you actually learn how to mix the song exactly how it sounded on an album. So if it is, it's mostly hard rock and metal though. But again, it still gives you the insight and the tips and tricks that the guy using in real time, because he's literally mixing it live.
What does he use? Pro Tools or Logic, or what's he use?
It comes down to whoever the mixing engineer is, like whoever mixed it. Like they would work on Pro Tools. Probably I'd say probably more than half of them would, but some use Logic and Cubase and stuff. But it obviously comes down to the preference of the mixer. Yeah,
they would probably talk in terms that apply to all digital audio workstations.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, they would use probably most of the same plugins anyway. So whether you use, you know, Steven Slate or use Waves or whatever it is, but again, like a compressor, like different compressor settings. So why they're using these settings, why they're using this type of compressor, why they're using this reverb gates, you know, you name it, distresses. And so I think it's just, again, to give people that insight and him explaining why are you putting this on at this point in time and in this order, you know, if you have a specific vocal chain or whatever you're doing. So again, if you're a mixing engineer, I reckon that would be like, I want to try and do it just because I want to see, you know, I want to, you know, be a fly on the wall pretty much and just see how it's done live, because I think it would be super interesting, man. But that's why I really enjoy the podcasts, because they don't talk that much about the actual mixing side. They more talk about the stories of how things work out in the studio when they're working with the bands and stuff. But yeah, I reckon it would be really cool learning experience.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Before we round off, is there any way that, like, if you want to sort of drop the socials that people should go if they want to follow you? You mentioned you obviously have a Facebook page. You mentioned a YouTube as well. Where should people go and find out a bit more about the band?
You want to handle that, Jon? Or you want me to?
Go ahead, Mike.
So we're on Facebook, Blur County, BLUR County, COUNTY. So we have a great Facebook page. We also have a great YouTube page. Again, Blur County Music is a YouTube. So you just search for Blur County, you'll find us, right? And then all our songs are on most of the digital music services. Popular on Spotify, iTunes, you know, they're on Amazon. You know, there's a lot of other digital music places that we're on as well. So you just search Blur County and you'll find us, right? The Grant Cardones song's a little different. It really wasn't a Blur County fit, so to speak, because it was more of a rock song, right? So for that one, you can look it up on iTunes and YouTube or Spotify, and that's, you know, Who's Got My Money? It's under Michael Lehr, L-E-H-R. But the thing is, there's two versions, right? There's a rap version that has nothing to do with us. It's just a rap Who's Got My Money. But then there's the rock one, Who's Got My Money. So you got to listen to the rock one. You know, nothing against the rap one. It's just very different styles. We have nothing to do with that one. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest with you. So that one's not on the Blur County label because it's a great song. It just didn't fit what we were going for on Blur County. And with Blur County, we have, 6, 7 songs out there, right, Jon?
Yep, so far. Yeah.
I mean, and they're all really just really great songs. I mean, you know, just really catchy lyrics. And I guarantee if you listen to one of them, you'll start to listen to the others.
That might be a really good way to wrap it up. I'll drop a link to everything in the show notes as well. So there's an actual direct link for people to go in and check it out. But thanks so much for taking time out of your morning in the States. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us, Stefan. It's been a pleasure and meeting up with everybody, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
100%. I look forward to it, and I wish you all the best. And by the time we have this big success and the big stadium and stuff, we'll have another chat for sure.
You got it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.